Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Jason Masker with Stratascale, and we are partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT CDO IQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today I have the pleasure of talking with Nitin Sethi, Global IT Director of Digital Transformation for Visteon. Nitin, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
So, with digital transformation, it seems like we've been talking about digital transformation for a very long time, right?
Mhm.
The projects have been ongoing. It's definitely a journey. We've talked about that along the way, uh, but is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Does it get easier? I talked to lots of different people in different phases on their journeys, right? And what would you say to some of those just starting out, or uh, maybe on the front side of their transformations? You obviously sound like you have a great approach uh, to this.
See, the way I look into digital transformation out there, then I have coined up a little different parlance of digital transformation out there. So I call as DTP, which is data, technology, people, and process. So that's how I term my digital transformation journey. Now, when I look into this, to me, it's people. It's definitely is not a point to point where you start and you end up in. It is a journey, but I always coined it's becoming a more of a way of life that you have to really follow in any organization which is being evolving, which is growing. You will continue if you have to continues to evolve it. You have to put up a right focus on your data. You have to put up a right impetus on your technology, process, and people. Right. So to me, this has to be something ingrained as part of your culture to go up and transform all these things. Maybe not a big bang approach where you are going to see the things overnight transforming. Maybe it could be a combination of some big things like you are being putting up an ERP system together, or you're putting up a PLM system together. Those could be a big transformation journeys. But then you have to balance it with the small wins, as simple as you are building up a new workflow or building up a new dashboard for somebody to go up and transform the way he's been doing the things. So those, I think that's how the mindset has to be. And to your question, uh, is it is there a time for it? I think there is no perfect timing. I think every organization has to go with this journey. Now, it depends upon um, the level and the maturity of where you are starting with. I think that's going to be a key. So you don't have. I think everybody has to go through a journey, but the level and um, the maturity of where you start on and what you do is very important. I'll give an example. If you are with a company who is already have matured himself with the infra piece and a network piece, and they are going up and establishing cloud platform, cloud journey, I think that will be a right digital transformation for them. But if you have an organization who has started late and have not started investing on the network and the basic utility functions, to me, getting on a cloud journey for them is not the right thing to do. You have to really start, make sure that you are getting your basics right. It's a typical maturity model. You have to first make sure that your basics are right, then you go to the next level of extended maturity, and then go up into the evolution. So that's how I look into it.
What about as things get further along, and you address your maturity in one area, then the next? How do you see that changing? Are you circling back to the first one you started, and now that needs to be addressed again? Does the transformation ever end? Is there a destination, or is it does it
No, I
continue?
don't see that as an end here. As I said, it's going to be a journey. It's going to be a part of a life, and it has to evolve. Now, the level and the severity of a transforming definitely changes, and people get used to uh, mm, getting to that change. So it's always an initial inertia. So if you think that, hey, I'm going from a big mainframe area, which I have not invested my time and energy for last 10 years, and I'm altogether going up with a new technology now. and getting on the cloud, of course, it's a big change, right? And people will perceive it. But when you are moving to cloud, like I'll give you an example, when you go to a data lake or a cloud, right? And then you are being making some progress on moving from private cloud to moving to the public cloud or getting some hyperscalers in place. That is definitely you are evolving yourself. But to me, that is not as big as a transformation what people perceived when they were moving from mainframes to the cloud, right? So, and once you make this as a part of your culture, make it part of a transformation, and don't sit on those things to go up and get on the expiry date and then make a significant effort to change it, then of course it's going to be a disruption. So you have to make sure that when you are being putting up a right impetus on the things which requires a warrant and attention, you still have to keep the other pieces right. Right, my concept of run, grow, and transform, right? So when you are transforming it, you also have to make sure that you are running and growing. It's not like you have put up those two pillars. It's like a three-leg stool. So you have to make sure that all three are being kind of balanced out in the right proportion and the right budget is being allocated or for all of those three. Otherwise, you are going to reach a stage where your stool is going to get tripped up because you are focusing too much on transformation. And as you correctly said, some of the other things which you have transformed already, which are supposed to be running and growing, they're not.
Yeah, I like especially your analogy with inertia. Sort of, if things have been standing still for a long time, it gets easier when they're in motion. You get used to the change, right? What about the way that you balance your time between modernization versus innovation? So sometimes our projects, it feels like we're just catching up, right? We're just getting with the times, and then there's innovation where maybe we're really doing something unique or different. How do you balance between the two of those?
To me, I think modernization and innovation goes hand in hand. Innovation is definitely is something which is needed for an organization to evolve and grow and get a competitive advantage or in the industry place. And a modernization to me is a prerequisite for innovation. Unless and until I set up a right platform, I modernize my infra, I modernize the way I'm putting up a data together or portraying a data, the innovation is not going to bloom up there, right? So you have to create that environment where you are being putting up a right effort on modernization and then creating an environment where people can then start thinking of innovation. Like I take example that we are being putting up a low code environment. We are putting an RPA in place. Now that is to me is we have evolved from building up our own code set, putting up our impetus on developers, we are getting into a low code platform. So we have modernized our platforms and get into the more low code platform now, and that is being now a catalyst for us to even think about innovation. Right, when people are been coming with an ideas, we can go up and turn those ideas very quickly or prototype it out with a low code platform, which used to go up and take a lot of investment from a developer apps. Right, so I think that how I look into it. So they complement to each other, and I think that is very important. Sometimes I'll say when we are at leadership level, it's modernization is always something which is tied up more towards the key metrics the organization is being drawing out. So you are definitely have to put up a little bit more impetus on that versus innovation, which is not really tied up to your key metrics today, but again, it's going to be supporting some of the future metrics. So that has to be something have to be grown up and make sure that you're getting the right attention to it. So that's how I typically try to balance it out. In my organization, also, I'm trying to run a little bit of a buy model where you are creating a right capacity for all those three, where in terms of running, growing, and innovating also, right? Where you have some capacity created in your IT organization, which can go up and support your innovation along with the business. I think that's a key for me.
So along your path to that, have you found anything to be key to accelerating that path to innovation? Um, I think a lot of organizations want to get there to where they're having more of that. You mentioned low code. There's a lot of technology now that can be applied. Um, what do you think is key to adopting sort of that enabling environment? Um,
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. So, a couple of things I think for innovation to grow it up, right? And again, I think it is the combination of that, my classical three legs stool, people, process, and technologies. First, you have to create a right capacity and right mindset in your innovation, in your organization in terms of culture for innovation. If you are going to have people who are going to be from 8 to 5, they are going to be tied in their day-to-day job and keeping the systems only running, then they don't have a time to go up and even think outside of the box and do some anything innovation. So you have to make sure that you are creating that capacity. Second thing is that you have to create a culture where somebody is being awarded for some of the innovation successes which he or she is being creating in the organization. And also the you have to be supportive of the failures. um, it is it should not end that, hey, I did few things and I had a failure, and now I'm not going to go up anything, try up new. So failure to me is a lesson learned out there. It has to be treated as a lesson learned for the new POC project which has to be started. Third and foremost is, as I talked about, we have to have a right platform, right resources to support that innovation. Um, like if I come to me as an IT, if I don't have a right uh, utilities, tools to go up and support the work which is being happening, then to me, then that you are going to basically put up a question mark and stop that innovation to out there. Last but not least, it has to get tied to the business outcomes. I think that is very important. It doesn't have to be an experimenting activity, which happens because a lot of times in terms of innovation, people start experimenting with the things which may not actually yield the right outcomes. So to me, it's very important, even from an IT team perspective, when we are being experimenting with the new technologies, new tools, somehow that has to get tied with at least with some business outcomes, either today or future. And so you can show that quick wins out there in the organization. It's very important to keep everybody motivated to go up, and even if it's small, you show those wins and get some accolades, get some little bit of exposure in the organization to keep that innovation culture going. So I think those are the few things which can help out the organization to accelerate that culture.
well, thank you, Nitin, for your time today. Please visit cdomagazine.tech for more interviews.